live.
Oh, hello.
Oh, look, look who it is.
Yeah, I'm back from my 2-week hiatus.
So how did it go? So you had to, both a family vacation and then a move, like consecutive weeks.
Yeah. Like that first week was Golden Week.
Mm-hmm.
During like a move, and then the next Friday was like took the day off, and the truck literally came to like box stuff off.
Oh, wow.
So it could have gone worse.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. That's good.
I never want to move in my life, right? I never want to do it again, right? So, which is good because I'm now locked into like a 30-year mortgage on this company.
Oh, right. Yeah, there you go. So you're not going to be going anywhere unless it's a bank seizure. You're going to be there for
Actually,
a while.
my name's not on the lease due to like all kinds of logistics. I
mean,
Japanese names, so it's just like, all right, whatever. But yeah, it's still living out of boxes, except for like essential stuff like dishes and clothes, and somehow miniatures are like not on the list of essentials for like my partner.
Really? Oh, that's a bet. Right? Those are terrible priorities.
Yeah, I also lost a lot of closet space.
Oh, right.
Like the room we gave to my daughter has the largest closet in there, and she has the least stuff.
Right.
And I'm just like, we have like, there's like kind of like a counter that goes around like the thing from the kitchen. Anyway, nobody cares. The point is like I have boxes upon boxes upon boxes upon boxes of like board games, Lego, and just stuff that I have to find a home for. Hopefully permanently, so that I can like set up like a painting table or something, or something. But like I lost like the place overall is bigger. I kind of lost a lot of storage and
but you'll have some
space.
Like hobby privacy. Will you be able to like live stream, like play online or anything, or still it's kind of
okay, the place is longer and the bedrooms are at this end, but what we have is like there's like 2 bedrooms, bathroom, like a tatami room, which then leads into like a kitchen and sort of a long thing that we're using as like dining room, my computer side.
Okay.
So it's not really, it's far away from the bedrooms, but it's not really private because you'll be able to like, I have it turned this way, but it's like my computer and hobby area, like my daughter's stuff, and then kind of like what we're using as like the dining room.
Right.
So
it'll
maybe
we'll see.
It'll work out. I just want to paint some stuff.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for holding on to my boxes.
Oh, sure.
Crap, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
My partner did a fantastic job of labeling all of their stuff. Mine just says Chris, right? Because what am I going to categorize it as, right? Anyway, just like, junk, right?
Nice. Well, I'm glad you made it. And I'm glad
Me too.
Japanese movers don't do the thing where, it's going to be $500 more because we counted the stairs and there's 12 stairs. You said like, 10?
No, no, none of that, right? I think I want to move again, right? But part of the miscommunication is like on that Sunday we rented a car. Why we rented a compact, I don't fucking know. Rented a car, right? To like schlep over the last bit of stuff. I was like, what? Why didn't you get it? I'm like, okay, look, my mentality is still like the more you ask them to move, the more they're going to be like, oh that's extra on top of that right now. But like I should have remembered, like, no, it's Japanese movers, like they are there at the time they're going to be there. Like it took them less than an hour to just get everything on the truck, and like before noon that day, everything was just on the other side. We're just like, that was fast. All right.
Wow.
So, yeah,
and I've seen some very tiny guys like lift very large things.
Yeah.
Really
with taking their shoes off before the end. I'm like, how the fuck are you going to take your shoes off while the two of you are carrying a refrigerator? I don't know, but you did it. All right. Kudos. Right?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's very, very unique if you've never seen Japanese movers.
You feel kind of useless. You're just standing around like, okay, all right, yeah. Anyway.
Fun stuff. Well, good to have you back. And Matt did a great job in your stead.
Nice.
So he remotely co-hosted all the way from the U.S. So that worked well.
What time
and finally
was that?
So it's close to let me see. It was noon, so like 8 or 9. Yeah, between 8 and 9 was when we usually started. So not too bad, but just safely after dinner, but not like crazy late.
Yeah, cool.
Great. So hey, Matt in the chat, and Miguel too. Oh yeah, Critical Role's next campaign, a horror campaign using their own original system, which is 5e.
Based on the 5e SRD, probably.
Right, probably. The 5e SRD with their logo at the top.
Sorry. Yeah. You've
missed
me,
Very good. So, should we make this part of the cast? Well, we can catch it. We'll catch up now. So a couple of things from last week, which I was a little bit surprised about. So, so first of all, you're getting a little dogpiled again by the 40K community.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you saw that. All right. Yeah.
So, but I think
Twitter mentions are unusable.
So I think it's interesting that setting, and you see that with what Blizzard did with Warcraft. Like they took Warhammer Fantasy and they just like made it bright and colorful, and the humans are the good guys and everybody else is. But if you want to play the weirdos, you know, the Horde, you can. If you're a weirdo and you've got your nose pierced, then you can play the Horde. But otherwise, you know, if you wear a polo shirt, then you have to play.
Before how like the Blood Elves or whatever came around because like Asia doesn't want to play ugly evil.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So so Blizzard did a weird version of that, but you see that in that setting, and so it's funny that you're talking about that because it's, you know, so the issue is the Imperium of Man being the good guys, right? The Space Marines being the good guys in that setting. And there's a lot of people that believe that, but the funny thing about that is that means the setting is nuanced and interesting enough that the actual people that would be living in that world would have those feelings as well. Like the people that are fans of this world have thoughts, you know, that pretty much mirror the range of opinions people would have about
Warcraft.
No, Warhammer.
Oh, Warhammer
itself. Yeah. So I was saying you saw in what they did with Warcraft how they kind of sanitized it and made it much less interesting and took a lot of the criticism out of it. And then because Warhammer Fantasy is, you're not ever thinking anybody human, anybody imperial is a good guy, especially in the RPG. And so it's very funny that in the 40K, Warhammer 40K setting, the Imperium of Man, that there are people that believe, just like there would be people in the Imperium that would believe that these are the good guys. The Emperor is a god, and you know, so it's funny that the fandom kind of reflects the weird, you know, people that are critical. It's a corpse, you know, the corpse emperor who I have no allegiance to. And so I thought that was it's really funny that the fandom has the same kind of the same kind of like reaction to that setting that they try to write in the setting. The range of
it's not to get like too much into it, but I'm not that into Warcraft. But like I tend to think, okay, like it'll start like a couple months back where I'm just like, okay, Star Wars making the Imperium again playable was a mistake. Like that was my thing. Like in any game, any kind of media, making the Empire playable is kind of a mistake, right? Because then you either have to, I guess the best way to do it is make the Imperium not cartoonishly evil,
right?
Just an opposition, right? Because then you can go, there's kind of good people or on both sides, right? I didn't want to say that, right? But like, if you make the evil faction playable, then they kind of can't really be evil, because like, okay, sure, I'm not saying that people who play evil actually do evil thing, but when you sit on the table and are like, okay, we're going to murder a bunch of babies, right? You're kind of like, is that the game we want to play, right? Like, okay, I'm not telling you how to play, but then you run into that problem with 40K, where like, okay, yeah, nobody's good. That's kind of the point of the grimdark thing. Nobody's good, and people either intentionally or don't have reading comprehension enough to understand this. I'm not saying there needed to be a good perspective. I'm saying there needed to be a different one, right? Like Imperium and especially Space Marines are the hero images on like all the boxes, right? They're the most prominent faction. They're the most prominent perspective that everything is told from. There are other ones, right? But even the latest book I read that you lent me, right? Like while I enjoyed it, the Imperium is always justified. They never make a mistake. The sacrifices are always pay off, right? So it's like after decades of that, I think people could be excused for kind of thinking they're at least not good but morally justified, right? That's why I was saying like, okay, there needs to be an outside perspective that goes, that didn't pay off, right? You sacrificed all those people for nothing, right? You made a mistake, right? There doesn't have to be a good perspective. There just has to be a different one that shows the Imperium as being wrong.
Right. Oh, I see. So, yeah, but I think they even in Warhammer Fantasy, in one of the like the army books, the Imperial army books, or Empire, they even said this distinctly. So, but the reason that the Imperium is good is only because, you could argue that they're good, is only because they're human. So so you either have chaos corrupted humans or Xenos opposing you. So as a human, you have to choose that side.
Like, and that again, that kind of factors in the whole problem. Like between saying, "Oh, this is the only human faction," between people going, "Well, all of their stuff is justified, and what are the other options for humanity?" And I'm like, "Buddy, it's a fucking fictional setting. The options are whatever the fuck the authors want to put in there, right?"
Right.
And the fact that like, okay, the way the Imperium is set up, sure, like it could be all in-universe propaganda, right? Which I guess is a valid argument. And then everything that goes against the Imperium is Chaos Heretic, Gene Stealer cult, dangerous Xenos to keep the population in line. And it's real easy to do that. Problem is that relies on the readers having the critical thinking skills to go, right? Which I'm not saying everybody doesn't, but looking through my mentions, like I said, like, okay, at what point does an IP or a company go, gotta do something about these fans, right? Like some people are like, oh, we can just be hands off. It's like, okay, no, what about this setting attracts these kind of people, and do you have a responsibility not to fix it, but at least to do something? Like in GW is kind of doing it, where they had to put out that statement saying GW is for everybody, right? This is not something you should be emulating, right?
And I think the reason they run into a bit of the problem is I think StarCraft and Warcraft are far more popular, especially with younger generations, than 40K and
why would they
Fantasy.
not be? How much money are young kids making, and how much money did GW cost?
And those are pretty simple factions, and pretty there's it's definitely the good guys. The humans are definitely the good guys. I mean they you come across, especially this any kind of story, there's like relationships between human and alien, but the humans, I think, in most of the Blizzard things are very sympathetic and very good. They're not as fallible, and so I think coming from that, then if you want to put that simplified thinking on the Warhammer settings, it doesn't work as well. So I think that's the problem they fell into, is the thing that's imitating them became more popular than them as far as PC games and people coming to that hobby. I think people spent much more money on StarCraft than they have.
I guess like maybe another way to do it would actually.
I mean, not amount of money, but more players. I think.
Oh yeah. Okay.
StarCraft has more players than 40K.
But like, there's no. Okay. In the far future of the in the grimdark future of the 41st millennium, there is no room for nuance. Right?
Yeah, right.
So it's just like that's the thing. Like they're in the media or whatever. I think there needs to be and some of the earlier Horus Heresy books did it right. It's there's like reflection on.
Oh yeah.
What exactly is doing, and I think in I don't read that much, but the later book, the one you read me, like as enjoyable as it was, there wasn't really a human element to go, oh damn. Right? That entire planet, like the Ninth Fleet just pulled back, right? And there's no there isn't that human element. It's just like, and eventually it kind of got overwhelming where I'm like, how many ships did we lose? How many boxes of ammunition have we gone through? How many satellite moon worlds have been chewed up, right? That's part of 40K, the ridiculousness of the scope, right? Like I've said before, like Sisters of Battle drop fucking churches on people, right? Which is awesome, right? Hilarious, but like there's also not the wow, damn, like I don't know, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the fun part of the fiction, the stuff that Black Library puts out, is there is conflicted characters and people that are working with chaos that are like, this is horrible. This is horrific what these people have sacrificed for this power. So I think there's interesting nuance in the fiction, but that can't really translate well to the tabletop or even RPGs.
I don't even really think it needs to translate to the tabletop. They just need to be like something else. Right?
Yeah. And their marketing and stuff, they have to kind of do their thing.
That's what it is, right? Like I'm sure Space Marines sell the best, so they've got to be like the most prominent ones. And anyway,
the cover, the poster children. Yes, nice.
Yeah.
So you stepped into the Warhammer thing, and we talked a little bit about Lego, which I was a surprisingly contentious community. And we had a retweet of the of last week's stream from the creator of Brick Wars.
Oh, nice.
So the Modifius is publishing this new version of Brick Wars, and just the tweet was very simple and just said it was nice to see non-community people talking about the game. So my favorite part of the Modifius announcement is getting to hear more reactions from non-Lego fan wargamers rather than the usual Lego crowd. Right. And so I was like, oh, well, interesting. What does that mean? Well, here we go. One of the comments on the video. So Daniel Witt commented on last week, and he said, unfortunately, this version of Brick Wars that Modifius is printing, that Matt is having printed, sucks. So when
Tell us how you really feel.
So when it comes to the actual options, any sort of balance, when statting up your creations, his unit inch system, an attempt to in streamlining Brick Wars' traditional length-based statistics, barely has any graduation outside of around the inch of Lego minifigs, and doesn't even put valuation on weapons, something that breaks the game when expanding to more complex weapon types. I also highly doubt that the community had much, if any, input on these rules. It's a common joke that nobody actually read the rules anyway when new players confess that they haven't done so. In fact, Mike deliberately writes the verbose satire of common wargaming rules text, which itself is enjoyable, but rings hollow when you have to pay the same book prices for a graphic designer to tell you, just make up the rules. Just make up your own rules, lols.
I thought that just make up the rules only happened in RPGs.
Yeah, right. Yes, I guess it's come to wargaming too. So in short, unless you want a coffee table conversation piece, you're better off digging up the free Brick Wars 2010 edition on the interwebs. Yeah, so, and he posted links. So check out that comment if you're curious to see.
Go look at this.
Previously. And one handy community member created a handy stat card generator for that edition that autofills construction points and does the math for you. So yeah, so interesting. So and this game's been around for a while. I think since the 90s, this version. And this was the only version that kind of dodged was legally distinct enough and dodged the lawyers of Lego and both Lego and GW to become a thing. And so that's why I was surprised that Modifius is publishing it, because it seems like they're showing like that little spaceman, that kind of Lego spaceman's like, that is not your property. Yeah,
right. Interesting, because like Mobile Frame Zero and Mobile Frame Zero Rapid Attack and Mobile Frame Zero Intercept Orbit, which is like mech combat and then spaceship combat. Mm-hmm. I don't think the creator uses the word Lego. I mean, it's like they kind of do the thing where it's like compatible with Lego or other modular systems, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like everyone uses Lego, and like there's kind of it's kind of fun. There's like the purity thing, like, oh, is this only with Legos, or did you use like Mega Blocks too, right? That kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, or those Chinese knockoffs that don't stick together.
Or did you 3D print your stuff? Right?
Oh yeah, right. Yes, so that was interesting. I was surprised that there is some contention, but I guess a game that's been around that long and had various rule sets, there are people like, this is the way, this is broken, and it's a shame though if that's true that this isn't the perfect system, because I think in the marketing, Modifius basically said this is the definitive be-all, end-all version of these rules.
Well, if it's written by the creator, then they get to say that, right?
Right. And so some players don't agree, but check out those links. Yes.
Some of the, I don't know what kind of game it is, whether it's like skirmish or like big battle, but like some of the skirmish games I've been looking at, like Planet 28 or Space Weirdos or like Forbidden Psalm or stuff like that. It's like, look, these are not competition rules.
Yeah,
right. Like, balance, right? I mean, like they try and balance stuff. You don't want to be completely crushed, but they're like, we don't really care, right? It's a bit more like, so.
And hopefully they're not attracting the kind of player that's going to tear them apart and min-max everything and just break the game. Intentionally try to break the game.
And if they do, don't fix it with the rules. Right?
Yeah,
just say, we don't want to play with you.
Yeah.
Bye. You suck. Right?
You suck. Yes.
Oh, you had fun min-maxing that Lego army. Well, you can go play with the other min-maxers. We're going to play it with people over here. Yeah.
Yes, you found the rule that breaks the game. Congratulations.
Yep, congratulations.
And something I'm not quite sure what it's a reference to. See, I'm stuck in this hole of YouTube comments now. From last week, Nathan was saying, so usually enjoy the content, but it could be improved in this incident by providing backer voices. So I mentioned a couple of Kickstarters. There must have been a Kickstarter. So I was talking, the thing that came up is Mythic's problem where they had to ask for more money to finish the production of their Rainbow Six game.
Oh, okay.
And this happened previously with the Darkest Dungeon board game that they did. They said, sorry, it's just not working out. You got to give us more money if you want us to finish. And they did, like people did support it. And so I was basically, I think it was a Polygon article or Wargammer article, something that I was following about this, and so it doesn't reference any backer opinions. It just referenced what happened with these Kickstarters and what the statements from the company was.
Well, I gotta say, like if the company, like the first time you're like, okay,
right?
If the same company does it like the second time, you're just like,
right.
Maybe you should plan this a little bit better.
Mm. No, but I think this is a valid point. So the comment says, resist the urge to just regurgitate the self-serving lies, half-truths, and obfuscations a company spins without a backer perspective, like leaving out a backer perspective. And I mean, I'm not backing all of these projects we're talking about, so I don't have access to, comments and things in the same way.
Right. Unless you kind of like scroll through public comments.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a
right.
Don't.
Yeah. But but I think that's a good point, and I do want to resist that, because when it just like reading block quotes, corporate block quotes, I think is not a valid thing, and having you always be a good foil to that, a good balance to that. No, but
that's why I'm here to say, wow, that sucks. Really? I don't know about that.
No, but to be critical of that kind of stuff, I think it's good to see what they're trying to say, see how they're trying to spin it, and then definitely be critical or have some analysis of it. And maybe in that case, I didn't. Maybe I was just reading a statement. But I think that's what the one was referring to. I think we also might have also talked about the Warzone Eternal. I'm not sure which one, but there's a couple of Kickstarters that came up. So but thanks for keeping us honest, keeping us paying attention. I think that's a valid argument. But yes, so how about we do this week? So I'll regurgitate some more corporate speak
sure.
this week.
And I'll say, I don't know about that.
Yes. All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly, Trench Crusade.
Okay, yeah.
The creator of Mordheim. D&D streaming service. Oh, that's going to need a not the best, I think. And the Mantic Vault. So I have a full understanding now of what that was. I think when I mentioned it last week, I was a little bit confused with the companion thing they do. They released kind of two things at the same time. So the Mantic Vault, and then Steamforged Games cuts staff.
Oh, okay.
Just in time to do their second Monster Hunter campaign.
Well, hey, the one way to make a company more profitable
Yes,
to lower expenses.
That's right. Those pesky salaries, get them out of here. And just because you've missed a couple of weeks, Brinkwatch 2023, we're up to day 118.
Wow.
So it takes a while. I mean, sooner the better is maybe up to 300 days. We're going to find out exactly when he resigns.
Sooner better. Not doesn't mean it has to happen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We're
it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, we're getting worse. We're just not better anymore, right?
Right. Yeah, it's just not better. These white guys, they need to leave the hobby. And Kyle is going to be the first one to put his job where his mouth is.
Is he though?
Probably not. No. Not at all. All right. So let's first talk about. So this was very exciting. Anytime I see this word, I'm instantly like, oh, what's happening now?
Where is this? Ooh.
So the Mordheim designer is talking about his new grimdark game. So Trench Crusade.
Okay.
So Tuomas Pirinen, the creator of Mordheim, has a brand new 32 mil game called Trench Crusade. So he's calling it a brutal, grimdark skirmish game, which is sounding good. And is working with two artists, Mike Franchina and James Sheriff. And I've got links to Franchina's art station, where he's doing a lot of the concept art and early digital stuff. It looks amazing. So what is this? What is the setting? Well,
the artists were... I feel like I was James Sheriff?
Yeah, James Sheriff.
Who was doing the miniatures?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think. Maybe.
I think I just bought a resin kit of like these creepy robos.
Oh, nice.
Because I'm like, okay, Trench Crusade. This sounds really similar to like a bunch of miniatures that came out.
Yeah.
So like, okay.
So maybe that's what happened. Is that it was like a kind of a synergy between they were doing this kind of stuff, and it maybe inspired the designer. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it didn't say in this article about that, but they're talking about. So the vibe is old school, grim dark, with full campaign rules, which of course you would want to have if it was Mordheim style. So sci-fi pulp setting. So it's a weird World War setting. So I guess that's weird World War I kind of. And so from the designer. The quote, he said, the game is set in an alternate timeline where the Crusades never ended.
Yikes, okay.
Yes. And as the armed forces of hell manifested themselves on Earth and began a war against humanity as a whole. So mankind has rallied in a global holy war and halted the advance of the seemingly inexhaustible legions of the damned. Now trench warfare rages across vast swathes of the pockmarked Europe in the year of our Lord 1914, where the armies of World War I, bolstered by the divine powers, wage an endless battle to stop the legions of the archdevils from overwhelming the earth. Heroes arise on both sides. Heroes of heaven and heroes of hell. Welcome to Trench Crusade.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Like I've said before, and Twitter is not the place for nuance. I said before, like the closer something is to like actual history, kind of the less interested I'm in, just because
right,
real history fucking sucks. So when it's like, okay, this sounds interesting, but then as soon as you got to like, you know, the ravaged wastes of Europe, I'm like, oh, so there's still like a Europe.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
right,
just like,
right. Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy this. I'm saying I want to know how real world it is. Like if we have faction lists with like,
yeah, where it's
Britain,
yeah,
France, then
yeah,
I'm just like,
yeah,
Anyway.
hopefully it will just be forces of heaven or heroes of heaven, heroes of hell. But there was a previous crowdfunding campaign for just miniatures. Miniatures miniature designer was able to fund some 32 millimeter set in this world.
They look amazing.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. So I looked at the art, the Franchina's art, and looks
that's
very
amazing
cool
too. Yeah.
And so I'll put a link to Pirinen's Facebook where he's talking about the development of the game and also the art station. So this is upcoming. They didn't say if they're going to be crowdfunding the game itself, but they're already like well underway of developing the world. So and it being from the creator of Mordheim, it'd be fun to see an updated version of those ideas, and also making the scale so it's not like a gritty struggle for Weirdstone. It's going to be this more epic, like
that's what I was wondering.
heaven and hell kind of battle. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I guess from the creator of Mordheim does not mean it's a Mordheim style skirmish game.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was imagining at first, but okay. Yep.
Yeah. No, but they are calling it skirmish, so it's going to be it's going to be trench skirmish.
Well, I guess that I could see that working. Like you always kind of, my initial guess would be like you play like the little special ops missions, right?
Right.
Like, the war is going on.
Yes.
Here's
yes,
the
yes.
task your squad of ragtag misfits has to do.
Right, and that's true. And with like a heaven and hell, there could be a dynamic that's like benefiting one. Kind of there may be a swingy mechanic that benefits one side or the other. One side or the other.
Roll a d20, and that's what happened. No, never mind. Yeah.
Depending on how hellish or heavenly things are. Yeah. So there looks like, and from the designs, it looks like there is an interesting kind of technology. They want to kind of limit it to that era.
Yep.
But it has an interesting looking design. So definitely weird World War One.
No, I get that. Maybe because like that's what actual trench warfare was. Like once you get past a certain technology level, you're just like, why do we need trenches, right? Like,
right.
So I understand limiting it to technology kind of around that time to better facilitate the idea of why the setting is trench warfare.
Yes, yeah. So I would definitely want to keep an eye on that, and follow on the Facebook to see what they're going to do. Because since they've already had experience with crowdfunding, especially for the miniatures, I'm curious if they're going to do like a hardcover book or if these rules are just going to be digital.
Oh, I don't know.
Because
I'm pretty sure I've seen the art. I'm pretty sure I've seen the miniatures, and like I said, I think I just bought like 3 big creepy robos from James Sheriff. And I'll keep people posted on Instagram as I slowly migrate from Twitter about when those arrive. Shipping to Japan was reasonable. But, yeah, this sounds interesting. I want to know what the rules look like.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to get a name involved. I mean, if you've got if it was the the artist and the sculptor, the miniature designer, with building this world, and then they got a named game designer with a reputation, then that's pretty cool to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
So good combination. All right, and for our next story.
Not the best.
Hasbro-owned production company eOne has announced their new Fast Channel.
Yep.
So a Fast Channel is a free ad-supported streaming television service.
I'm tired of. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
I'm tired of stuff that's being supported by ads described as free.
Yeah, right.
It's not free.
It's
not free, right? I got to slog through this. No. All right. Anyway.
You pay with your time and
you
your
do.
eyes. Yes. So why don't we have a Fast Channel? I mean, if it's ad supported, there's no expense for entry.
There should be.
Yeah, no cost to entry.
We have to attract advertisers.
Oh, that's right. We have to be more attracted to advertisers. Yeah, that's true. That's the thing that Hasbro has is they can attract the ads. So we talked about this before. Like they threatened this a while ago, and we've had eOne kind of sold off some of its stuff, and they like slimmed down, so this is supposedly following the huge success, which I think it just made its money back. So it's not a shocking success of the movie, the D&D movie. But there's going to be a 24-hour channel launching this summer. of D&D only content. And so they're probably going to be looking at creators, and this is going to be another thing where, just like the Creator Summit, they're going to say, okay, so do you want a show on our channel and you want to talk up the game?
Maybe.
We'll take you off of YouTube or support your YouTube or whatever, or are you an enemy?
Yeah. No, I can see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about that. They announced this list. I think this was last year or before, but Encounter Party, which is a popular a popular but not as popular as Critical Role, a kind of actual play series. So 6 members, including the Walking Dead star Carrie Payton. Okay. So they've done Forgotten Realms campaigns, Faster Purple Worm Kill, and
I'm
improv.
Mad that someone already has that name, right?
Yes.
I'm mad because
Yes.
Why would you waste?
You're a big Russ Meyer fan?
Kind of. Yeah. Why would you waste that awesome of a title on something that's fucking D&D, right?
Yeah, right.
God damn it.
Where special guests and celebrities act out first level player battles. Okay. Next. And then Heroes Feast. We've talked about these before. A cooking competition show somehow themed around Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. So none of that sounds, possibly the actual play if it's interesting players.
Most interesting thing on this was reruns of the 1980 cartoon.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I haven't gotten there yet, but exactly. And they're going to be rerunning the original, because they have to fill 24 hours of content. Yeah, they're going to be rerunning because I guess they have the right. So the classic Dungeons & Dragons animated series, which ran only for 2 years. So how many episodes can there be?
Not that many. I have all of them on DVD.
Oh, no.
And I have not opened the collector's box because it's the wrong region for here. Right?
Oh, of course, yes. So somehow they plan, maybe they're just going to have 22 hours of ads and then a couple of hours of content every day.
I don't know if it's going to work like an old TV channel where there's actually going to be time slots and a schedule. I guess so.
Yeah, I wonder because right now they're talking about the fast market, I guess, is booming right now, and but most of the services that you can and they must be web based. They must be just internet based, are reruns of the Twilight Zone and stuff like that. So it might not be a great fit for D&D content, and it may be kind of So I don't know if it is a streaming service and it's just ads on a streaming service, then it's like all of those free things that are kind of floating around out there. I can't think of any of them at the moment, but because people want some sort of content that they can watch on, especially internet capable televisions and stuff. And if they have apps for these things, then it's content that you're not paying monthly for. You're just dealing with commercials as you would on basic cable.
Honestly, from a business perspective, I think this makes sense. You're erecting a walled garden. Why not wall it all off, right?
Yeah, and if this is going to be content that everybody has access to, then they can do stuff that's going to push, but the ads, 1 out of every 3 ads can be an ad for their
stuff.
VTT. Yep. Have you played? And Hasbro's got a lot of stuff.
Did you enjoy that episode? Well, you can play the adventure, right? That kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, the only one thing that would make this marginally better is if they did cheesy 1980 style commercials.
Oh, right.
Which they won't. But.
Yeah, that would be great if they did weird. Yeah,
I would at least respect the design choice then, right?
Right.
I'm not gonna buy it. I still appreciate it. Right?
Yeah, but a D&D improv comedy show and a cooking show, I can't. It just doesn't. It doesn't support that. You're really stretching.
You haven't watched it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It, though. I don't buy, and I won't. But anyway.
Yeah, so we knew this was coming, and now it seems to be closer than ever. So I guess it's this summer that we're going to
That's
be...
ominous. Closer than ever. Don't look behind you.
It's coming. Yes, so another not the best approach from Hasbro's Dungeons and Dragons. All right, let's get back to this with the chat on it. There we go.
Great.
So putting that ugliness behind us. So a clarification about something that I just mentioned last week that I didn't quite understand exactly what it is, but I am 100% behind it.
Okay.
I've already subscribed.
Okay.
So because I think this is a good approach, and I want to encourage this direction, and I think companies maybe that aren't publicly traded companies should have this should take this advantage of this technology.
I am incredibly curious about what this is.
Yes. Yep. So Mantic Games, previously they launched their companion app, and I think it's kind of competing with what Games Workshop promised but hasn't really completely executed on, which is an app has army builder lists and everything, and then all the rules built in. But GW walls the codexes and rules
Right.
behind like a little code that you get in the book. So you have to buy the physical book for $70 in Japan, and then you can put the code, and then it unlocks.
Do you have to buy something else again for after you put in the code?
No, but you do have to subscribe. You do have,
yeah.
you have to have a subscription to the app, and then you can you unlock things. And the subscription gives you a little bit more access than just like free rules, but not much. And so you're basically unlocking digital versions within the app, not PDFs or anything of the Warhammer.
So that if your subscription lapses, you lose it.
Right. Yeah. But what Mantic offered in their companion app is a whole suite of tools. They let you kind of a la carte choose, if you're only playing one of their games, just choose, for $2.99 a month, this one game and all of the things that are connected to it.
Right.
But what they do give you is a living rule set, so constantly updated rules, a very functional army builder with the latest stats for everything, plus things like tournament organization tools, places where you can find tournaments being held. Like they're trying to really the tools reinforce the community and really let you find who's playing and where that would be happening. So that I was impressed by that, impressed that they did something like that. And then this other announcement came, and it was a vault, and I'm like, whoa, so it's a sealed. You're already offering your rules and everything, and so no, the vault is exactly what we've kind of talked about off and on would be a good approach. It's essentially like a Patreon style STL subscription.
Oh, okay.
So they're structuring it. So they must have had somebody that has experience with 3D printing, and they are and they implemented this thing. So the vault is basically as if you subscribe to One Page Rules or one of the designers that does miniature STL sculpts and releases themed packs monthly, and also has a welcome pack, so it's exactly that same sort of thing. And the cool thing is, if you subscribe to the companion and the vault, it's a super discounted price. They have an early bird an early bird subscription, so basically I think it's like between $10 and $12 US. It's all in British pounds, but it's like $10 to $12 US for both every rule for every system Mantic does, plus everything that they're going to produce digitally in STLs, like released on a monthly
so you
schedule.
get kind of like you get access to like a welcome pack,
right?
And then there's probably like monthly releases. And how is it themed? Is it kind of like a smattering for all their games?
This is an interesting thing, because they do have basically like 5 games, 5 games that you can play, and that have separate rule sets, and some of them have a little bit of overlap with the miniatures you use. But the thing that they went on heavy with at the beginning to really tempt you is they're basically giving you two full fleets for their Armada game. So their fantasy ship combat game, they're basically giving you orcs and humans, all except a few of the bigger elite ships, everything that they've produced, and those are things that are like available in the starter sets and stuff, and they've been around for a while. So the new fleets and the new kind of hotness that they're producing for that game is what people would buy. So that's not going to probably be offered anytime soon. There may be some support, but the interesting thing that they're doing is, and I think the approach is, they release plastics that are produced in China, and then they supplement that with resin.
Right.
And they had it's funny. Right before they launched this, they had a little tour of their studio and showed the resin production. And this is a real pain in the ass, and it's very, work intensive. It's a lot of there's a lot of man hours going into this, and it costs a lot. And it's hard to ship this stuff. But wait, and so basically everything that they produce as resin, they're also going to offer as STLs.
Right. Okay.
So it's going to be alternative heads and weapons and things that go with these plastic kits. So they're not going to be undercutting the local game store yet. Right now they're basically going to be supplementing, so you have easier access to this more expensive additional stuff that's expensive to ship to you, expensive for them to produce as digital files. And how they're theming things is whatever their like latest starter set is, or whatever, they're supporting those armies. So it's a mix. It's kind of like every month there's a little bit of everything, but they're specifically supporting like the first one will have bits for the halflings and bits for the Rift-forged orcs, which are a starter set that they just, I think their latest version of the starter set. Yeah, so Rift-forged orcs and the halfling knights are getting the two-handed weapons and things and the airships for those. And in the welcome pack, which they said is going to be this growing collection of things, they have kind of interesting, unique bits for all of their different games, different individual figures, like a goblin sniper for their firefight, and just some different, or I guess Dead Zone, and different pieces, and it's going to keep growing. But there's also things that they say, this is not for any of our games. This is just a cool model we made.
Right, okay.
So this is, you can use this for D&D, you can use this for whatever you want. So, but very, very similar to how people are handling their Patreons for this sort of thing. So they already announced. So May, this the launch month, like I said, was supporting the set with the 2 Armada fleets basically, and then the supplemental resin bits for halflings and orcs. And then they already announced June will be more boosters, fleet boosters for the human and orcs Armada, plus the War in the Holds Part 1, which is another starter set for Kings of War.
Okay.
So more fantasy bits, that probably the resin bits for them. And then July, more Armada and Shadows in the North Part 1. So the bits for Shadows in the North, which is another two army starter set. So we'll see. I went monthly because they have an annual that gives you a little bit more of a price break, but I went monthly because I want to see how quickly they run out of steam. I want to support this right out of the gate, because this is what companies should be doing, because it's giving people direct access to stuff, and especially people like us that are in inconvenient international shipping markets.
Boy, howdy, tell me about it.
Yeah. So we'll have much more access to this thing, and they can kind of choose, they can, with this subscription, that they can choose things to support and kind of supplement. So if there's some popularity, they notice a shift in ordering or what games are being stocked, they can supplement that directly, like very dynamically. Like within the next couple of months, there'll be bits for this thing, and as new kits are released or new starter sets or whatever, they can follow that right up with the month they're released with these supporting bits. So I think it's good. So I've heard some comments, people saying now they have their feet in kind of 2 markets, like the brick and mortar, retail distribution, and then also direct digital, and that might piss some people off. There might be some game shop owners that are just like, okay, well, let's move the Mantic stuff down here. We're not going to order from them anymore because people are just downloading. And also, the other drawback is now these digital files will be out in the wild. They're STLs. So all it takes is one subscriber to just post all of the files all over the interwebs.
True. I guess my thought there is like, okay, as someone who is used to support Patrons that provided like STLs and stuff, like 3D printing is still not as ubiquitous as other things, right? So I think until it gets to that point, like retailers, I mean, okay, they got to make their own decision, but retailers can still go, cool, we're stocking stuff for all the people who don't have a 3D printer or who can't buy this stuff, right? And as far as like people releasing STLs, like if you go pirate STLs, you weren't going to buy them anyway, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And that's the thing that people keep forgetting when they say, oh, people are stealing PDFs of my game, people are stealing these movies. It's like, they're not going to pay. They wouldn't pay for it in. These aren't customers that you didn't convert. These are pirates. These are digital orders.
Like that's the thing. Like way back in the years ago when I started getting into like purchasing digital music, it was kind of like, okay, before I actually had a reliable online source of money, I pirated stuff, right? Because I'm like, or like, I don't know where to find these bands that I like that I just found, right? But then as soon as I found like Bandcamp and back in the day like Apple Music, I'm like, oh, cool. I can go and buy this thing, right? Like I don't have to jump through 5 hoops to try and find this thing, right? So the easier it is, I think the easier it is for people to buy things, the more they will, unless you're a pirate, because then you're never going to buy it, right? I mean, okay, sometimes piracy is the only moral option, right? like with everything being digital, right? And with more and more companies going, that thing you bought from us that you're kind of still renting, it's gone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then it becomes a moral whatever, or like an ethical thing to do. But if you're just like trying to save a few bucks, then no.
Yeah. So this is an exciting approach. So I thought that they were just using STLs as tempting people into some subscription for a digital, some kind of digital media service, but it ends up it's an all STL service. And so what they're doing is they're offering the examples of the STLs for free. Okay. So all of the Armada ships are produced in resin. So that's, I think, why it's getting heavy support in the vault, is because just the production of those ships. The only drawback I've seen so far, which is going to limit the number of subscribers that they have, and it makes it easier for them to just release these files, but they are unsupported.
Okay.
So you have to build your own supports, which means that saves them manpower, because they're not making the supported files, and they're not testing them, because that requires time and experienced people. But at the same time, that raises the skill level of the 3D printers. So it's going to keep real basic hobbyists out. And one thing that I didn't see that would probably be a good approach that would help to maybe pacify some of the upset that would come from brick and mortar is to have some sort of retailer license and just say, okay, we if you don't want us, you don't have to order these resin bits from us. If you can print them, here's a price
here's
for
the
you.
retailer price.
Here's the retail price to allow. You could print these and then supplement. So not only have those starter sets, but here's also the supporting bits. I mean, that's not going to be a huge group of retailers, but there could be some, and especially because I'm sure local game stores are very aggressively trying to find new ways to attract customers and offer services that they didn't before, just to keep things competitive. So I didn't see anything about that, and maybe if there are some hurt feelings with the physical stores, that would be a nice way to say, you can, or even if you just worked with somebody and paid for a retail license.
I wonder if that's a way for, or that's one avenue for retailers. I mean, you would have to invest in a 3D printer, but like, I'm sure that people are doing it. But Game Store could go, cool, we'll print your STLs, right? You bring the STLs,
right?
We have the 3D printer, we have the resin. You'll pay fee for like the material you use and stuff like that, but we'll print your stuff, right?
Early days, I'm sure it's still a thing, but they're kind of these maker shops, or these co-ops where there were laser cutters and printers and stuff, and people just did things there. So it's not specifically to a hobby, it's more people creating, like making stuff with newer technology. But like a service bureau kind of thing, like a Kinko's for 3D printing. Right.
Like I remember seeing those places, like at the Yodobashi camera down in Namba, there used to be like a 3D printing kind of like boutique. I think it was all like FML or whatever it is, right? But maybe it's resin now. But like as 3D printing goes more into gaming and like miniature war games, hobby shops could, the initial investment, right? Yeah, right. And having the space, right? So it's not going to be available for everybody, but that's one way to do it. Like, bring your STLs and we'll print them for you.
Yeah, exactly. Because the same way that most movie theaters now are not, I don't know if most, but a lot of movie theaters now don't have film reels anymore. They're not showing you film. They're basically getting a download that they're doing a laser projection, of like an IMAX film or whatever is a huge download onto basically a hard drive in the projector itself. So they've already kind of solved that. How are we going to move these things that we can't let anybody steal, that are very valuable, but that can also be damaged and need to be replaced? Like physical film reels were a real pain in the ass because it's like a armored car kind of delivery of these things, because it had to be very secure to theaters, and they solved that by having digital files. So that same sort of way, if the distribution channels and everything and shipping expenses internationally are getting crazy, then stores are going to be able to kind of get over that if there's ways to create them locally from digital files. Create some kind of secured system where you can log in. You have this retailer account. You log into this website. You can download these models to print at your store, but you're paying us for them.
But you're allowed to sell them.
Right. Yeah, but the problem is once things get digital, then they're infinitely duplicatable, and then with a printer, they're infinitely printable. So you have to figure out, okay, ethically, so you can only print 10 of each of these, because we know if you print 100 that you're going to sell them on eBay or whatever. You're going to open a retail account and try
actually, you might, but my thought, if I was one of those people, right, I'd be like, okay, here's how much the license is, and like if you wanted to print like 100 of them, like how much resin have you spent? How much cost in material? You're doing all the shipping on your end, right? You're taking the risk that enough people will want to buy this particular product that you've printed, that it's worth your time to print 1,000 of them.
Right. So we'll see. But this is good. This is shots fired, and I think this is good to see, because already there are so many people playing basically dead or old Games Workshop games with digital files. So we played War Master with completely no Games Workshop involvement. Except the rule book. I guess I did buy an old copy of the rule book.
We're not even using that anymore, because now we're using War Master Revolution.
Yes, right. Yeah, the updated rules. So we'll see where this goes, and this may just be, and we'll see month to month. So once we get to the end of the year, we'll see what Mantic is, how their strategy for releasing things worked, and how it supported their games or not, because there does have to be some good communication between who's managing the vault and who's doing the scheduled releases for the game shops, and make sure things
hopefully that's
match
planned.
well.
So it matches up.
So we'll see. But I wish them luck, and I'm supporting, like, right out of the gate. I'm going to support this because I want to see, I want to see this do well, and then we can play Armada. We can play very easily. We can have some decent size, not because I ordered the physical, like, taster pack that they had of Armada, which included the rule book. Basically, it's the price of the rule book, but it gave you counters and 2 ships and everything. So I have 2 examples of their produced resin ships, and so then I'll see how they print and then how that compares. So we'll see. But so unsupported. The bad news is for anybody thinking about this, it is unsupported models. So you'll need to do a little.
You come home and it's just like this slump of gray.
It wasn't supported well. All right. And lastly, we are talking about some big layoffs. So we're looking at Monster Hunter World still out of camera right in front of us. And Steamforged Games, the company responsible for that, announced this. I think this was announced to employees as early as March, but now things are definitely going. And so they had a recent restructuring and laid off nearly 20 workers with redundancies. So basically, and so Dicebreaker anonymously talked to a former employee and kind of, so what's going on? What is this? And basically, they're not calling it. It's not financial problems. It's a restructuring. Profit maximization. Yes, it's just a restructuring. They're calling it. And part of the things that they're kind of blaming, that could be responsible for it, the disastrous launch of the Dark Souls RPG. Their kind of first step into publishing books where they didn't even have the rules worked out, and they published this super limited, expensive edition.
Rules that didn't even work, and you couldn't. Anyway,
right. And this anonymous employee told Dicebreaker that the other thing that they blamed was Asmodee and Hasbro dumping cheap stock into the market. So I'm wondering what that's referring to. But I mean, both of those companies have huge stock and huge library, or huge a lot of games, a huge portfolio of garbage games that, of course, they could dump into the market at any time. But I don't know what the timing of that particularly, and how would that interfere with, because Steamforged does a lot of licensed IPs. How would that interfere with someone that wants to play a Monster Hunter game? They're not going to say, "Oh, I'll get Clue instead."
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe a little bit of an excuse. So here we go. I'm gonna regurgitate some corporate speak, but they did get there's a statement from Steamforged Games that went to Dicebreaker, and they confirmed that a restructure of their business operations was recently completed. As a result, some employees had to leave. But they're not going to comment on the confidential and now completed process. But some positive things that they've been doing recently is they acquired Alter Quest from Blacklist. So Blacklist Miniatures, they had a game that they supported, but they also did a lot of kind of generic fantasy miniatures, which are decent quality. So they're producing that game now, and they've got they did successfully, after some struggle, successfully ship Monster Hunter World to 20,000 backers worldwide. Wow. And the second campaign for the kind of ice version, I forget what it's, this Iceborne or something. It's it already hit like 700,000 pounds or something. It's like one day it was like boom. So I mean, they're awesome monsters, awesome like miniatures of these giant monsters.
I still want to see how it plays.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a big thing. Yeah, before we support it. Then the thing, it's a short, the second campaign is like a 2-week campaign. So we're not even going to get those boxes open before it's over. And then they also hired a new head of marketing beginning of May, Crystal Kennedy, who will be establishing their new brand presence. Okay. So they're saying things are going great. Don't worry about us. But unfortunately, that they laid off a good chunk of their staff.
Like 30%.
Yes, the 20 that ends up like, I think the estimate was like around 30%, 20 employees, and so their mission has always been to create games for gamers and provide people with exceptional experiences. The changes made within the company allow us to further deliver on our mission. Okay, so we'll see. Yeah, and but I think this golden age is over. Even though they had a second campaign that's generating all this money, this golden age of these giant plastic Ameritrash board games, I think it's getting more and more unrealistic to be able to ship. We're going to be living fine. We'll be doing fine. But I think the production of these, it's going to be few and far between, and it's going to have to be more.
Or it's going to be more Kickstarter stuff and more companies saying.
I think it has to be Kickstarter, because you couldn't go in this scale of production without having that money in advance.
Oh, fair enough.
but we'll see. And I think they've run through all the IPs already too. Geez,
you'd be
between
surprised.
Mythic and Steamforged, they're gobbling up every video game property. But yeah, so we'll see what that means, and we'll see if they're able, these future campaigns, if they're able to fulfill them well, or they're still going to keep running into and say, oh, pandemic and increased costs of materials and shipping. If that's going to continue to be for the next decade, everyone's go-to excuse for why they don't send out products. So we'll see. But but Steamforged makes fun, interesting games, and the miniatures are great. So I hope they didn't lose good people in the digital, the digital.
That's probably freelance.
Digital staff. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of that is. But so I hope they stay on top of that, because it's fun stuff. But I think we're at the end of an era that easy money is not going to be as easy.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we'll see. That'll do it for this week.
I gotta go.
Oh, okay. So where can people find you?
On Twitter, less and less, and Instagram more and more. Maybe that's Hyphenmind, HYVEMYND, where now hopefully that stuff is moved. I can start putting stuff back together miniature-wise. Yep.
Doing some painting and all that.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, and check out the Argatoria unboxing that I did. Yeah, so we've got barbarians, so the kind of desert barbarians with Amazons and barbarians against lizard men. So we'll have some interesting, colorful clashes, and we've already got the map right here ready. Nice. We're all set. So check out that on the channel. I'll put a link to that, and yes, and also so social media, and I'm doing my cartoons still. So Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch, and that's just a weekly live stream of me drawing the cartoon. If you like what we're doing here, consider becoming a weekling.
The strongest of all supporters.
So patreon.com/upturntable, and let us know what you'd like to see more of on the show, how much corporate speak you'd like regurgitated, and how balanced our view is on this, and basically kind of help shape what we talk about. If it's too much Hasbro, not enough whatever, no more Kickstarters, whatever would be good. So upturntable.com is the main website, and on all social media, upturntable. So that will do it for this week.
Yay.
We'll see you next week.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye. Very good. Oh, wait. right. So it's a rainy day. The traffic sounds extra loud. So hopefully that's not all showing up on the track. So hey again, Matt and Miguel, how is it going? Oh, is Miguel doing some 3D printing? Yeah, I'm going to try to do some of those Armada ships and see how they go. They're pretty simple, I think. Auto supports or just like playing around with my limited ability, I can probably support those ships. I'd be a little bit more worried about some of the things where you need for the miniatures, some of the support for the miniatures where you need to worry about where things are cut off. Nice. So Critical Role is working on their own fantasy system. It would be funny if they switch over to their own system and totally leave behind all of that, because they're not going to get a slot, or they don't want a slot or need a slot on this new eOne fast channel for D&D content. So I don't know what exactly they're putting on there. Matt said, yeah, the Lego folks ain't playing. They are not playing. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, people were, it's definitely a thing. Lego elitists, I was surprised by that. Oh yes, yeah. Chris's Tyrannid. I forgot to bring that up. Yeah, that's we're gonna have to keep an eye on that one. If there is a bug invasion of the Earth, Chris is gonna be leading them right to all of our centers of power. The first trader of humanity. Yeah, the Mordheim guy is back. Yeah, so it sounds like it just like there was a world that was being built by these two guys, this artist and sculptor, and they had a success with funding some miniatures, so they're going to build a game around it. Oh yeah, Prophecy meets Achtung Cthulhu. Yeah, that's a good comparison, Matt. Yeah, I like the that Never Going Home. I like that setting, that kind of dark magic trench combat World War One setting. So we'll see what. And also the there's a skirmish game by the guys that did Forbidden Psalm that is Last War, which is very similar. So yeah, that setting is interesting. But and Warzone, Warzone is at 135K, but seems to be stalled. Yeah, I think that's all they're getting. I don't know. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, so a expansion of the snowy setting of Monster Hunter in one day does 700,000 pounds, which is probably like what, $850 or whatever, $850,000 in one day. And Warzone, the whole property, like the whole thing, not just one little faction or one little thing, a whole new game of Warzone comes out, and they're going to max that at 135. So that they're funded. So I wonder if that's good enough, because like people have talked about, what you set for your goal isn't the real goal. You need to go a certain amount beyond that, and they are basically seeing this Kickstarter as funding not only what they want to release, but the further development, further unit packs and things that they want to release. So is it enough this time? Because I don't think you can cancel a campaign twice and expect people to be around for a third try. So we'll see. Oh yeah, Miguel is saying, yeah, I see a Warhammer Plus 2.0 in the making. Yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah, it was interesting. The former Games Workshop people that I've watched their channel, the people that have left, basically like Peachy and Duncan, and that have been kind of spilling the beans a little bit about how operations go. It does seem like the sculptors are kind of dominating, and I think that's, they have a lot of talented people and they're doing a lot of stuff, but they're kind of overindulging. They're pushing these kits and things really, really far, which keeps them kind of ahead of the pack in a lot of cases, especially with the way that they can tool these sprues and stuff. They're pretty amazing kind of feats of digital design, the way the models are assembled. But if they're putting all their emphasis on that, then other stuff is going to go lacking, like their rules and their release schedules and stuff. Because the Pinkertons will be sent, yes. Wow. Oh yeah, and Knave 2. Yeah, Knave second edition for Knave is at 518K. That is an indie RPG. Got 518K. I think though Nave spent some big money. Like who? Maybe he's working with a company or something to do promotion. They spent some big money because I'm seeing ads on all social media for Nave. I kept thinking they were just social media posts, but no, they're paid ads on almost every platform. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. I'm seeing Nave 2 ads, and probably because I'm, it's my cookie is targeting me. But he's put some money into it, so there's probably like 50K or something at least for a social media ad budget coming out of that. First level, yes, the improv show that faster purple worm kill. Yes, is a first level character battles improv show. Come on, Matt, you want to tune in for that? You want to sit through some commercials so you can watch that? Yes. Yeah, the Pinkertons are coming to claim the miniatures on the shelf. Yeah, Matt said Mantic, bless them. They must annoy the heck out of Games Workshop. Yeah, it's they're always that kind of distant second, but Americans love an underdog, so I can't help but want to support what they're doing, and and it's nice to have access, like digital access to some of these miniatures, because sometimes they don't do a great job of producing the plastic, and I think it's because they work with China, which Games Workshop is starting to do as well, but I think the kind of lower quality PVC miniatures and stuff that they did, I mean they're resin. Everything I've seen in resin from Mantic has been great, but that Dungeon Saga, that first edition, I was not even looking at the second edition when after the quality of that release. Yeah, it's brutal. A regurgitated Brotherhood speech. Nice. Yes, all that corporate speak. Oh, interesting. Yeah, totally going to drop Wizards. Yeah. That will suck if they do that. They just kind of absorb Wizards and it's no longer a brand, because Hasbro wants to be responsible for Magic and Dungeons and Dragons. So Miguel saying, I don't know if they still have a contract with Wizards Hasbro. They had one with the OGL. Oh, you mean, I'm sorry, Critical Role. Yeah, Critical Role dropping Wizards. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, because they have a publishing, company and everything. They don't need the popularity. I mean, they benefited from the popularity of 5e. Or probably 5e benefited from the popularity of them, more is the case. And so, yeah, I could see Critical Role walking away from that and doing their own thing. So what would be funny is the competitors that we're thinking of, like Paizo and Kobold Press, and the people that Wizards wanted to kind of crush with this next version of Dungeons and Dragons move, and the kind of move to a digital platform. It's actually their biggest competitor is going to be Critical Role. That will be funny. And if Critical Role, which they're not going to have Hasbro money, but they've got some decent funding, so they could go in on their own platform. If you want to play their games, then you join their platform, but then you also get access to all their live streams. And yikes. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. So I wonder if there is what kind of agreements there are between them. So the fact that they announced last weekend that they are moving campaigns looks like, the 5th edition Critical Role love Swan Song. Yeah, that's probably, I think you're probably right. And, after the OGL thing, I don't think they want to be associated with that. They have their own kind of, brand to think about, Critical Role. So they definitely will, want to protect their image away from the kind of, strange things that Hasbro's been up to recently, especially the Pinkertons. Wow. Yeah, but it's very interesting. They keep that keeps coming up. Like people still, it's not. I'm happy that that's not going away. The OGL thing is not going away. Oh, and Vagabond funded. So Indestructible Boys, kind of development, kind of living rules set PDF. Kickstarter campaign funded at $25,000. So that's just to be able to work full time to get those rules finished, to then do another Kickstarter to fund printing the book. So that's someone that is I think maybe Wizards considers a D&D influencer, but is already working on his own system, which is the kind of the things that he loves about D&D in their own version. So who wouldn't want to give an auto eternal no control license to a third party like Hasbro? Yes. Yeah, it's really funny. So it's good. It's good that's not going away, because every article you read about what's going on with Dungeons and Dragons and Hasbro, that keeps coming up. Oh, and the OGL thing. The Pinkerton thing doesn't come up as often, but I'm not reading a lot of stuff in magic circles. But the OGL really ruffled some feathers and created Orc and created some competing licenses and competing approaches. So we'll see how all that goes. Yeah, so it was funny that they picked up on our little bit of coverage on Brick Wars. And it's too bad. It's too bad that if that what that commenter is saying is completely true, that there wasn't a lot of community input. This was just a project that they wanted to produce because Modiphius said they'd publish it. So yeah, we'll see how that does, and if that ends up being the thing that kind of kills that community. That would be a shame. All right, well, looking good. Yeah, so it was fun to have Chris back. So it made it a little bit weather made it a little bit rough to get back and forth. A corp wouldn't backstab you, right? Exactly, Miguel. Yes. Oh, Miguel, I will get in touch with you. I looked on the web. You can pre-order the BattleTech Essentials. If you're interested, I can get one of those forwarded to the US. So I'll hit you up separately, and because that Target only, when we talked about that, I think last week, the Target only exclusive starter, I can get that sent. The pre-orders just opened. I think it ships in June. So I'll hit you up. Yes. I think Twitter's been telling Chris very much about that approach. Yeah. It's funny, and I like that. Chris doesn't back down on that, but actually I saw some interesting support too for that perspective. But I think Games Workshop is just in a weird position where they do have to find a marketing approach, and they're not in this particular current climate. They're not doing it particularly well. They just need to go metal, badass, hardcore. This is not for not for the faint of heart setting. I think they should really push that, because you can't just keep wiping, like rounding the corners and wiping the dirt off of grimdark before it's not grimdark anymore. So it's got to be ugly and problematic. It's built in. It's built in. Everything does it, but that's the push though, because I think Games Workshop saw so much benefit from licensing, so they want this property to have some more mass appeal. They want to do an Amazon show. They want to do bath robes and scented candles, so they want to push it to be a more mass appeal cross whatever audience setting and so if they make it more something, if they sanitize it more like a StarCraft or Warcraft, then maybe they think that's a good move, but I don't know. So yeah, Chris made the point that the Empire is not the good guys in the classical white versus black storylines. Right. Yeah, and I don't know what. Yeah, that keeps coming up. I think that the last time Chris was dogpiled by 40K fans online was the same issue. It was saying Space Marines aren't good. Yes. But I think it is a mistake to for them to kind of market things to look simple, to not make that, because that's the appeal of that setting is how fucked up it is and how it's like humanity on the brink, and worshiping this corpse emperor and being in this totally fucked situation, right at the last moments of human civilization. I like the end of that precarious weird setting, and it comes across really well in a lot of the fiction. Some of the better written, Black Library stuff, really does a good job of hitting on that. They're really good themes and really good because there's a lot of just kind of thinly disguised like classical era history and stuff in Roman Empire and earlier mythology and stuff built into that setting as well. And so I think it's a mistake to sanitize it and kind of make it a little more palatable for the masses, the normies. Yeah, and I wonder though, because that may ultimately end up meaning they can make more money with the property, but it's going to lose its appeal to a lot of the people that were either have been in the hobby or would be attracted to it. It's going to lose its, and something else will pick it up. There'll be some other indie game setting or something that will just be like, okay, if they're not going to do it, then we will. And so things like Forbidden Psalm and a lot of the Turnip 28, those settings are very messed up, and so there will be stuff to replace a sanitized 41st millennia. But 40K lacks a good side, so the guys that fight for our survival must be the good guys by default. Yeah, because the other guys wish, yes, even worse things on humanity. Yeah, I think that, and they've explained that. I think in the fantasy setting that there was like a speech, like a quote of a speech given to troops that specifically said that, we are the only thing protecting humanity against this green menace, and so it really came across. It's like it's us versus the monsters. We're not the monsters. We're the humans. And so that doesn't make them morally right or morally good. And I think that's the problem. Is it's just humanity's survival instinct kicking in. So they're not going to. And it's a war. It's like war on a crazy exaggerated scale. So things lost, resources sacrificed, the death of however much infantry is not factored into it. It's war on that scale. Nice. Yeah, don't need to sanitize it. Need to hire writers, artists, and marketing people that understand satire. Yeah, that's very true, Matt. Good point. Yeah, good point, Matt. Oh, and good night. See you soon, Matt. Be around in about 24 hours. Nice. Yeah, that's true, and that's the fun. That's the tragedy. That's the interesting thing of it, is you're watching kind of the death throes of humanity and the mistakes of the choices they made. Deifying their entombed, barely living ruler, the emperor and stuff. Yeah, I think there's really good things there, and kind of wrapping it in a religious righteousness, and so then all the iconography and stuff that goes along with that on the Space Marines. And then the other factions like Sisters of Battle and everything that are very religion based. Yeah, it's very cool. I like that setting a lot. I just I wish that they weren't going for much more of a mainstream thing. That sucks. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up this week. We went a little long with Chris, so sorry about that. Chris trying to get back to work because it's probably been the first time to be back to work in a little while too. All right, but thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back again next week. So if you're listening to this on the Patreon RSS feed, thank you so much for your support, and that's where the audio for this live stream goes every week. So if you're watching the live stream now, consider becoming a patron, and then you can listen to this on the go on whatever device you want, because it's just an RSS feed in your podcast software. So excellent. We don't want Chris back. We want Crenshaw the Mortificator. Okay, well, I'll see what I can do. I'll talk to Res Nova has the rights, so I'll see. Nice. All right, so that'll do it for this week. So take care, everybody, and see you again next time. Goodbye.